Hello, Emily. I am so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, you are one of our Yes Supply Method students and graduates, and you have such an amazing story of a literal quantum leap because, sometimes when we are growing on social media or growing anywhere, we think that there's these rules that things have to take a certain amount of time, or I started, at this time, so I have to wait in line or whatever it is. And you're such a beautiful example of a quantum leap and an example of breaking all the rules as you went from about 3,000 followers to over 150K followers in under a week. And then now from October to January, so what's that? October, November, December, January, 4 months, you're now well over 200K followers on Instagram. So your community is growing amazingly. Again, such an amazing example of a quantum leap. So today I want to talk to you about what happened, that whole story, how it occurred, and also you as a coach, your transformations, your shifts in mindset, everything that brought that together for this incredible manifestation. So, to start off, can you just share a bit about you and your story and who you are?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I was actually telling you earlier that this is so surreal for me because I listened to you on a podcast, I think it was 5 or 6 months ago, and that was the reason I joined Yes Supply. So it's just crazy to be here with you on your podcast. I just can't even believe it, but I also believe it at the same time. So it's an incredible opportunity to be here. So thank you so much. A little bit about me. So I started off as a life coach. I got my life coach certification before I came to Yes Supply at the beginning of 2021. And so I had started my journey on social media and starting to put things out on social media, really making my stance as a coach really prevalent for everybody to know, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And I specifically wanted to reach out to people who had stress and anxiety because that's something I dealt with my whole life and didn't know how to approach. And I finally found a way to holistically heal a lot and manage that stress and anxiety. And I remember that I believe it was 2022 was the year that, like the beginning of the year that I went full time in my business. So I quit my job. I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. I'm really going to just put everything into my business. And I would post like every single day. And I kept feeling like, I really feel like these messages are so great, but I'm not reaching a ton of people. I'm really just reaching, the people that I know, like my friends, my family. And I wanted to reach more. I just knew I had a higher purpose and a higher calling to reach more people. And it was around, I would say, like, I think right before I came onto Yes Supply, it was like August or September where I was feeling like I was in a rut. Like I was working with clients up until that point, and a lot of my clients were starting to, our time together was done, and so I was like, okay, I need new clients, but things were just stagnant, and I was like, oh no, what is happening? Things aren't going in motion the way I need them to, and I started to feel like, okay, I feel like this is the universe telling me that something needs to change. There's some approach needs to happen. I don't know what it is, but I literally sat with myself and I was like, okay, universe, please help me. Please guide me in the right direction. I trust you. I know that something great is going to happen, even though I'm in this rut and I don't know what to do. I know that it's coming to me. And I had this this inner knowing, like something was going to come. So I asked for these clear, conscious signs for me to find this new next step. And I don't know what it was. I found a podcast, and it was the Manifestation Babe podcast. And I had never heard her podcast. I didn't know anything about her or about you or about anyone. And so one of the first episodes I ever listened to on her podcast was the one with you in it. And your story was so, like, I can't even tell you how connected I felt because I was like, wow, everything that she like believed before she became a coach is what I believed or what I went through. And wow, to see her massive success. Yeah, truly, your massive success was like so inspiring to me that I knew I was like, okay, this just feels like a big yes to me. And the fact that your name was Yes Supply, I was like, why am I feeling this like strong pull, this strong yes? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to allow the universe to give me another sign to know that like I'm going to go and join the Yes Supply. And I was on Pinterest. I was scrolling through and I came upon a coach that like looked very successful. She like did such a good job on just really releasing content and just showing up, and her website was amazing. And as I scroll down her website, it says she's a Yes Supply coach. And I was like, okay, that's the sign. I'm doing it. And then I hopped on a call before I went on to Yes Supply to make sure like, okay, this is feeling good. And I forgot who I spoke to, but she was so sweet and it just all aligned. It all clicked. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. It's a yes. And I invested that day. And this was around September or October of 2022. And at this point, you know, I'm still posting on social media, but I felt like on Instagram, I wasn't posting as much because I just felt like, okay, I feel like I need a like kind of like a reworking of my brand and my identity around social media. So I really took time to just focus on the Yes Supply at that time when I started. And some of the, like when going into the sessions, each Wednesday is when I had my sessions, I felt after every session that I was like, whoa, I feel a huge shift. And then going through the modules, I was like, whoa, all this belief work and all the tools, everything just aligned for me. And I noticed myself changing with time, and I felt more inspired to post totally different like content on social media. I was just like, this feels right. Like, I think I'm going to show more of like who I am and the kind of people that I'm trying to reach, and just really take everything that I've learned in DS Supply and just like put it in content. And I couldn't believe it was in the end of November. It was right before Thanksgiving. I had posted a reel and I didn't think anything of it. It took me maybe 10 minutes to post. I had written out the post. Like I write out my content ideas sometimes, and I had written that idea out and I just decided, okay, I'm going to film it. So I filmed it within like 10 to 15 minutes. And I really did not think this reel was going to go anywhere. I was like, you know what? I'm just trying to reach a certain person. I want people to connect and be like, okay, this feels like me, because there's so many people out there who are struggling with stress and anxiety. So I thought, okay, you know what? I want them to feel like they're not alone. I've been there too. And I remember it was like a couple days later, I started seeing the reel go viral, and it was like going to, okay, it's at 50,000 views. Okay, now it's at 100,000 views. Okay, now it's at 1 million views. Now it's at 10 million views. I'm like, what is happening? And as the views started coming on, people were starting to follow me. And I couldn't believe that, like, before Thanksgiving, I was at 3,000 followers. And then it just grew. Like, everybody wanted to understand and know, like, how do I deal with this massive problem of anxiety, of stress? Like, what do I do? Because I need support. I didn't realize how bad it was until I saw your reel. And I really was so shocked, because I was like, I understand that there's a lot of people who feel this, but I didn't know how many people felt this. Like, over 12 million, I think it's now at 13 million views. And I also posted it to TikTok, and there's another 13 million views there. So I'm like, I don't know. I think everybody is needing this, like, is called to this kind of work of like healing and of really just, you know, mindset and manifestation, because I started posting more content on mindset and manifestation, and people were being so called to that content too, and realizing that they're all connected, right? Like, all the stress and anxiety really does come with belief system, with how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself. And that's really what I try to do in my content. And it's been like just the amount of love and just gratitude I've received from people has been incredible. So I'm just really happy to be at this place where I am now not only going to be graduating the Yes Supply method in February, which has already given me so many tools that I've used on my clients, and my clients are like, whoa, this is amazing. But now I'm like so well equipped now to take on more clients. And now I have so many people asking for my support. They're applying. I remember the first week that I went viral, I think I received at least 300 applications. And I was like, how do I do this? I'm a one-woman show. What do I do? And the overwhelm was like, okay, no. Like, you don't need to be overwhelmed. This is a good thing. This is the impact you're making. I know I started doing EFT tapping. I was doing the EFT tapping like, okay, you know what? Even though I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm gonna release it today. It's okay. And so, but it was an amazing thing. It showed that I made an impact, and this is what I wanted. This is the vision I had for myself. I really never thought it was going to happen this soon. And this is a very important part of the story, is I had told my mom, I had written down everywhere. I was like, I'm going to get 100,000 followers on Instagram. And I was at 3,000 at the time. And I had called my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I'm going to have 100,000 followers by the end of 2022. And she's like, that's a month away, right? Like, you have 3,000 followers. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm putting it out there into the universe. I'm writing it down. I'm saying it out loud. Like, I have an amazing audience of 100,000 followers, and I'm just so excited for it. And then it happened a week or 2 weeks later. And I was like, wow, it works. When you set an intention and you believe that it's possible for you, it happens. And it happens in a way that you wouldn't expect. But it just shows that literally anything is possible. Like, you could be in the biggest rut of your life, and just like a month or two later, completely turn your life around, which is what I did. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much fun. You just brought us on such a journey. So thank you. That is so much fun.
It's kind of a crazy, I know I went like all in because I just wanted to really paint the picture of what it feels like to be in such a rut and to feel like I don't know what to do. I have no idea where to go. And just trusting that something was going to come to me. And I trusted that. And then I found the Yes Supply. And then I went viral on Instagram and TikTok. And then I got more clients. And it's like, I now know that mindset and manifestation works. And I've known this for a while because I've been into manifestation since I was 18. My mom showed me Abraham Hicks, and Abraham Hicks is like the foundation of what, I don't know, I think, did you find Abraham Hicks around that time too? Because I found Abraham Hicks like 10 years ago, and nobody knew who Abraham Hicks was. Were you like also, are you a big Abraham Hicks person?
I found The Secret, manifested some amazing things, forgot about it completely. Mm-hmm. And then when I was on the path to starting to change my life, I remember I knew like something was telling me I need to be a better communicator in order to, get to where it is that I want to be. So I YouTube speakers. I started listening to Bob Proctor just because he looked like a confident speaker. And so I was just kind of like learning, like, what does a confident speaker look like? And then as he kept talking, I was like, interesting. Like, then I started to really listen and pay attention, and I didn't even make the connection that he was on The Secret, and I probably even forgot that I'd even watched it, and I still can't remember how I even discovered The Secret, who told me about it. I think it was one of my best friends from high school, but I can't remember. But anyway, I think I was just thinking about this other day, so maybe I meant to say it today on the podcast, but when things really started to click, when I had just kind of been passively listening to Bob, to really being like, okay, he's on to something, was he had this figure and he was talking about expression. And he said something along the lines of, how we're meant to express essentially. And when we suppress, it leads to anxiety and depression. And he said it so eloquently. And it just connected like, oh, maybe that's why I'm feeling anxious about things and depressed about things, because I'm suppressing so many things and I need to express. And so much, and he was also talking about the subconscious mind there. And so much of what he taught has translated into a lot of the success that I've created, because it reminded me, like, just to express. Like, if I have an idea to say something on social media or to whatever idea is coming through me, express it, share it, give love, help others. And then I become a flow, right? Of ideas, of channeling, of energy to help other people in their flow and their channel and their energy. And I feel like it also has a lot to do with connecting back to source, because sometimes we don't even understand why, but it just feels good. Someone's talking and it just like feels good, or you want to hear more about them. And I feel like that has something to do with being really connected to source. So long story short, because that wasn't exactly what you asked me, but Bob was a big part of what got me on this track of loving the subconscious mind. And, you know, all the stuff that we teach in Yes Supply Method. And I discovered Abraham Hicks a little bit later. I can't remember. It might have been through my friend Danny, who I ran a retreat with back in 2017, or I might have just found it on YouTube. But yeah, but I do love Abraham, and it's a great like vibration raiser to just put on a video in the background when you're like getting things done.
Yeah, I listened to all the tapes. That was like my mom gave me a bunch of tapes in my car, and at the time, like it was like CDs. And at the time, I didn't understand the language at all. And but I like worked. I was like, you know what? Even though I don't understand it, I'm going to continue to listen to it over and over again. I guess maybe like certain speakers have certain language. Obviously, Abraham Hicks has a very certain language, like different words that they use. And I had never heard anyone talk about, you know, how your emotions really determine how you're going to experience this life, and how what you put into, like, the energy you put out is what you get in return. And I had never heard that before. And I think like I think a lot of people who listen to The Secret or listen to some of these speakers, they get so drawn to the idea that, wow, my stress and anxiety doesn't have to like be so prevalent in my life anymore. Like I can actually work to release it. And I had really started learning about the subconscious mind, I think more so with the Yes Supply than anywhere else. I had, I've listened to so many different speakers. I went through the Tony Robbins Master University of 2 years ago. And I think like I had done all the like inspirational things, but I had never really hacked into the subconscious mind, like how you said Bob Proctor kind of gave you that insight into like, wow, the subconscious mind is such a powerful place. And I have gone through other coaching programs and we never really touched so much on the subconscious mind. And now I know so much about the subconscious mind. And it was like I had already known so much about manifestation and law of attraction and the laws of the universe. But it wasn't until I started understanding reprogramming the subconscious mind that I was like, that's what's really going to help me manifest. That's what's really going to allow the things that I thought was impossible for me come into my reality, because I have programmed my mind to believe that it's possible for me. And so thank you for creating such an amazing program that like has actually switched my whole mindset on the subconscious mind, because I've healed things. And I kind of want to share with you like there's this amazing tool called that you teach. It's called neural energetic encoding, for anyone who doesn't know what that is. It is the most, I think for me, was the biggest breakthrough I've had thus far. And it happened like 2 weeks ago. And it was just like, it was like the missing piece I needed to understand intuitively, first of all, that our intuition is so deep within us, and then all we need to do is connect. And once we connect, we have all the answers. And when I connected to that intuition, it took me to a place that I never thought I would go. Like, I went to my mother's womb and I was like, what? I've never been here before. I've never even thought that this was possible. And I found out that so much of my programming and my belief system was around this like fear around coming into the world and showing who I am. Because actually, I called my mom after. I was like, did something happen? Was there like a fight or something really, really traumatic that happened to you when I was in the womb? And she told me, she was like, how did you know that? I actually, yeah, there was this woman who was so awful to me and really made my life so awful when I was working with her. It was a very traumatic event for me. And you were in my belly at 3 months old. And I just am shocked that you know that, or that it affected you. And I was like, yeah, it affected me so much because I felt your anxiety and stress that I didn't even want to come into the world. Like, I actually didn't want to come. My mom told me that I came out as a conehead baby because I was stuck in her belly for so long, and the doctors like couldn't get me out because the water, I had soaked up all the water. So she didn't even have her water break. They were like, wait, she's gonna die if we don't get her out. So I really didn't even want to come out because I felt so much anxiety around coming into the world. And it translated into like that anxiety showing up around other people because I was so afraid that I was going to have the same thing happen to me, where my mom was so severely bullied by people around her, or specifically this woman who was really jealous of her for being able to have a baby because she wanted to have a baby. And she was so awful to her for that reason. But it was like, I felt like a burden. I was like, oh, I know that I'm the reason that this woman is mean to my mom. I felt like this burden and I didn't want to come into the world. And then it's funny because my mom being bullied when I was in the womb, I started experiencing bullying in my own life, which is why I felt so connected to you, because I know you had been bullied as a child too. And so when I went through life being bullied, I didn't know the root cause. I didn't know and understand why this was happening to me. I was, nice to kids. I never ever, wanted to be mean. And I just didn't understand how people could call me names or tell me that, I was better off dead, and tell me, I've been told awful things as a kid. And I was in middle school. I think I was like 10 or 11 at the time. And I really felt like, wow, like I thought I was worthless. And now going back and getting that message from my higher self, from my intuition, knowing that it was never about me, that it was like I had felt all of these emotions in the womb already coming into the world with all of that anxiety and stress around other people. It all made sense to me. All of a sudden, all of the doubt, all of the fear I had about showing up in front of people just completely dissipated. So if anyone wants to know if the subconscious mind is like that powerful, it absolutely is. So I've had such amazing breakthroughs, and I really believe that it has just made me become a better coach, and also show up on social media in a more authentic way, because now I don't have fear around showing up. I just post whatever, like you said, when it comes to me intuitively, I know that it's because it's a message that people need to hear. And so I'm so inspired by everything that you've taught me because I am now so connected to my intuition. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, the intuition is such a great guidance, and no one else can tell us like what we need to do, because we know, like, we can listen to different advice or whatever, but like we know on a soul's purpose. So it's like our intuition will say, go in this direction. And that's what you did. Your intuition said, go in this direction, like sign up for the Yes Supply method. And you did your part. Like the universe can do a certain part, and then we have to match it and meet it because we have free will. So you said, okay, I'm going to go all in. It probably felt like a risk. I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to see what happened because I asked the universe for guidance, and it's presenting me with this opportunity. And I have to say, yes, I'm going to go in and I'm going to match that energy. I love what you were saying about neural energetic encoding. That, like, your story is so beautiful and so unique. And that type of thing has happened so many times in the past too, with so many students, where they'll go back to 3 months in the womb, 5 months in the womb, 8 months in the womb, and be like, I don't know why at 3 months in the womb I was feeling da da da. And then they'll ask their parent and they'll be like, how did you know I got into a big fight? How did you know? And it's because consciously we might not remember the womb, but our subconscious mind remembers everything. So I've seen that a lot with our students. And another big theme that I see with our students specifically too is they'll go into, and for anyone listening, if you don't believe in past lives, and you could just see it as the subconscious believes in everything with metaphors, or the subconscious is very much a metaphor. So if you believe in past lives or not, you can take it how it feels right for you. But a lot of people will go back to a past life, and in a past life, they were a witch that was burned at the stake for helping people. Mm-hmm. And so in this life, they're called to help people. They're called to share their story. But then the fear of showing up feels equivalent to the fear of death. And they're like, why does doing a live stream or a reel or a story feel like I'm going to die? Like, why do I want to say my story and help other people and support other people? But then like, I literally cannot move. And it's because in a past life, when you were helping other people, you got hurt for it. And so the neural energetic encoding is so powerful because they can go back and they can see that, okay, that might have happened in a past life. In a past life, I was penalized for wanting to help others and wanting to share my magic and wanting to, uplift the world. And I can learn from that and forgive that and release that, so that in this lifetime, I can be the full expression that I've always meant to be. That's always been my path. That's always been my purpose. And the fear was holding me back. We can just let go of that fear now.
And I love what you said about forgiveness. I think that that's what has really helped me, is to forgive myself and my past, and specifically forgive myself for, I think again, Instagram and social media was such a big, subconscious block for me for so long. I knew I wanted to be somebody that showed my life and was really open and honest and shared my story and really showed people who I was. And I wasn't doing that for so long. And knowing now what I know about the subconscious mind and what was stopping me, forgiveness was the biggest thing I needed to do, to forgive myself and who I was in the past for not being able to show up in the way that I needed to. And it wasn't my fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just that was what had happened in my past. And it was something to learn from. And I think now that I have taken the past as wow, this is not something that needs to be a setback anymore. It's something to really learn and grow from, because if I didn't go through all those hardships of bullying or going through my mom's womb and being so anxious, or going through different career paths, not knowing what I wanted to do, I wouldn't be where I am now, doing what I'm doing, helping people on a soul level, and really sharing my gifts and my story on social media. And I feel like you are also such a great example, because when I saw when I heard your story and I saw you, on your Instagram as well, and I was like, wow, okay, this is an example of someone who is doing it and it is possible. So I know it's possible for me too. And I think that anyone who is listening to this, who can take away something, maybe they have a belief that oh, it's not possible for me, or oh, it's too hard for me. I'm telling you right now that it is absolutely possible for every single human being on this earth to get what they want, to have their desires, to be able to show who they truly are. But again, you have to go through that subconscious mind and understand where those blocks are coming from, and to be able to work to release those emotions, and specifically fear or anxieties around posting, or around going for a quitting your job and going for something that you're actually passionate about, which was something that was so huge for me. Quitting my job, because I was working for my dad before I came and became a coach. And my dad really wanted me to be in the mortgage industry. He was a loan officer, made good money. And I just felt so stuck because I was working for him, feeling like I loved my dad. So I love my dad so much, and he's the greatest person. And I felt like I was going to let him down if I left and did my own thing. And that was a huge thing that was holding me back. I was working for him for almost 5 years, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to stay and be a loan officer and just like make him happy. And then I realized, I was like, I cannot do that. Like, I felt the anxiety coming on, being like, this is not right. Like, I know the anxiety is telling me that this is not what I'm meant to do. And now I see emotions so differently now. Instead of a negative, I look at it as a like catapult of like showing me where I need to go. And I knew, I was like, something is off. Something is not aligned. This is not the life I want to live. I need to go forth and find what that is. And then I found coaching, which I had not known was an actual, at the time, I think it was like 3 years ago that I decided to be a coach or to go through a certification program. And I didn't know it was possible. I didn't know it was a job. Like, I really didn't know any coaches at the time. And then I started really like diving deep into investing in myself and investing in seminars and coaching. And I saw huge differences in my life each time I invested in that. And so I'm like really grateful for all the anxiety, all of the fear that I had, because it really taught me about who I really am and taught me to find, otherwise I wouldn't have found my purpose. So thank you, anxiety. Thank you, fear, because now I know my purpose. And so I look at it a totally different way now than I did before.
I love that. And you're such a great example too, because you've gone through other certifications before and you've had this big shift, especially with the subconscious mind. And sometimes people ask like, what's the difference between other certifications and Yes Supply? And it's like, we dive so much into the subconscious mind, like actually using the language of the mind, actually using the way that we store the past and store the future. Like, you're just entering into a whole new realm that is there because we're using it as we move through our day, but we don't realize it's there. We don't realize that we can actually hold it and access it. So what would you say is the difference between the other, and you don't have to like name any specific ones, but what would you say is the difference between the other certifications that you went through versus when you joined Yes Supply?
Yeah, so there's actually some big differences. And the ones that come to mind is specifically like, I feel like the Yes Supply is more action based. It gives you actual proven tools versus the other ones. Like, I would just get, like guides or like how to's, or it was more, like question based. There was like a structure, but it wasn't, it worked for a while for me. And my clients saw transformation, but I've been working on with some of my clients right now. I've been working on the tools that you have shown in the Yes Supply, and like really talking about the subconscious mind and really talking about the language of the mind, which is something I didn't do in my past trainings when I was coached in my other certification. And this time, like, my clients are actually telling me, they're like, the tool that you showed me, it like has changed my life already, or I'm seeing a huge difference in how I feel just from that one session, which is not something that I had in my previous coaching sessions. It was more so like there was a digging deep in a sense, but it wasn't getting to the actual like root, right? Like of the actual subconscious mind, of the actual belief system. It's a totally different, I just feel like it's so much more in depth, and there's so many more tools that we're given in the Yes Supply that like, I can't even believe I think I paid like like the same amount, I would say, for the other certification. And this one has way more value, like way more value. And I was like, how is it possible that this has so much value that I feel like if I had known about Yes Supply, I wouldn't have joined that other certification. Like, this is everything that I needed, because the other one like was a great foundational base, but it wasn't like really scratching the surface. It was only scratching the surface. It was like right here. And the Yes Supply like blew it out of the water, basically. So I am like so grateful because of the fact that it's structured so well in a way of like going through specifically going through the transformation modules. I feel like my brain is just like, whoa, like I now know that transformation happens on a totally like different level than I ever expected, because I was going through transformation with my other clients, but it was like just the bare minimum. And now it's like, now it's a totally different transformation. It's like an actual subconscious pattern that they're like tapping into, that is now like, oh my God, I feel better. I am doing things I never did before. I'm behaving in ways I never did before. I'm actually believing things are possible for me now. And so I'm just really grateful for like actually having proven tools, because I didn't have tools before. I would go through meditations and connecting, right? But not like actual tools like EFT tapping, the neural energetic encoding, just so many amazing tools that I didn't like. I actually had learned at EFT tapping in another coaching certification, but it was not like this. Like like they only gave you the foundation. It wasn't the full like, hey, this is actually how you do it to get transformation. So I'm like, okay, I now have the full tools. Like I know now what to do in my coaching trainings. So yeah, it's a huge difference to answer that question.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. Yeah, because I think we don't know what we don't know. And we're not, I'm going to train or teach this to my kids from young, because this is how I want them to see the world. I want them to see the world that it's like you create from the inside out, like manage your emotions and anything is possible. Set big goals and write them down, and boom, you can catapult your Instagram or your income or whatever it is. So we think that we can tackle shifts with the mind with just stories and questions. And that's what the majority of other programs out there are. It's telling powerful stories and asking powerful questions. And that's amazing to an extent, but we have a critical faculty that's there. So if you've been going along with a program in your subconscious mind for 25 years of your life, one single question is just going to like it's just going to bounce off, or one single story that's just going to kind of bounce off. You're going to be like, that's not true. Like it's still hard to make money or whatever it is. But when we use these tools to actually access the subconscious mind, we're bypassing that critical faculty. And then that's why your clients are saying, oh, I actually feel different. I actually am changing this habit. And also to, I'm sure some of the coaching that you got when you're going through the SPI method, that helped you make those shifts too, that changed your perspective and your feeling and your confidence.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Going through the like each week and being coached and vice versa. And also Riley is my coach for my cohort, and she is amazing and does a great job of like really like outlining everything, and like to give that space to be like, you're safe to coach here. And we go through coaching each other through these tools, and doing that each week has only made me a better coach and much more equipped to take it into my to my sessions with my clients. So yeah, just the way, and I didn't really have that with my other sessions. Like, yeah, we would practice, but this is like such an intimate cohort, and I just love it. I've connected with the girls on this cohort so much. We're like all friends. We message each other on WhatsApp, and like it's a beautiful like connection we've all made together. So it's made that this entire it's made it even better to be so connected with other women and to coach each other and to apply these techniques into our own lives so we can see the transformations, and then to be able to apply it to our sessions with our clients. Like that has been the biggest breakthrough, because I'm transforming myself so I can transform my clients.
Absolutely. And then it's like everything you're sharing feels real and authentic because you're doing the work, you're seeing the results in your life, and then you're just like, hey, this is what happened. I'm so excited. Like the excitement is palpable and the excitement is genuine because you're going through it at the same time.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing. like how much the tools have affected you. And that was so cool to hear about the neural energetic encoding and going back to the womb and having that release. And I'm sure some of the people who are listening are wanting some of the same results as you. So you're such a great example of a quantum leap, right? Like asking the universe for help, taking the inspired action, seeing a huge result. And then you said, as soon as that post went viral, you had over 300 applications for your coaching, which is like, okay, that's what every coach wants to, just like so many applications and so many people on the wait list. So let's talk a little bit about that social media post that went viral. If you were to look at it and kind of say to yourself, like, and again, we never know how the algorithms are working, but if you were to look at it and say, like, this is why I think it connected, this is why I think that it like worked. This is why I think that it went viral and reached, not only reached a lot of people and went viral for no reason, but actually reached your dream client and like exploded your business in such a powerful way and exploded the way that you can help and impact people.
Yeah, it's such a great question. I've actually had so many people ask me this. They're like, why did that one go viral? I'm so curious, because it was really to show like how we can be so dependent on stress. And it was called like it was like 5 signs that your body and your mind are so addicted to stress. And I use the word addicted because I actually had gone through, like, I've learned so much about stress and anxiety. I've gone through like different programs. I've read books on it. And I actually read an article, like, I think it was a few weeks before I had posted that, about stress addiction and how when cortisol is so like always constantly being pumped into your body, we become so like dependent on that feeling, on that stress, that it starts to become a habit, and we just continue and continue and continue until we break that habit, right? So I knew that I had the same issue of like constantly overthinking, constantly, like looking at my phone when I'm in the middle of a task, constantly feeling exhausted, and constantly feeling like, what was the other one? There was like 5 signs, and I think the other one was like overthinking and comparing yourself and criticizing yourself. And I showed actual clips of me like doing it. Like
That's good.
yeah. And so like, actually acting it out to show people, because I know what it feels like because I was there, and actually acting it out allowed people to see, oh my gosh, wait, this is what I'm going through. This is what so it was very personal and personable. I think people were like, whoa, this person sees me because like, this is what I'm going through. So it's like, I'm outlining a problem, showing them like, this is the problem, and like contact me to find the solution, like follow me to find the solution, or here you can even like do, a call to action of like, this is what you need to do. And I think people were just so intrigued by, wait, I want to know how to do this. I want to know how to no longer have this be a problem in my life. And again, I didn't intend it to go big at all. I thought I was going to get like a few thousand views on it. That's like how my standard was, like a few thousand views every post. And to see that so many people were reacting to it just showed me that like, people are wanting a change. They're wanting something different, but they just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to get there. They've been stuck in this cycle of feeling, like that negative feeling of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, criticizing themselves, feeling exhausted, feeling drained, feeling like, oh, life is just not the way I want it to be right now. And so people are wanting a change. And I think like, energetically, what's happening on social media, I think there's so much around self-growth right now, so much about, really doing the healing on yourself, really like understanding who you are. And I think that that's what's allowing people to connect with that kind of content. So that one went viral. And then what also, which was crazy, I had posted 2 weeks before that another video, and it was a Mel Robbins audio. And I was just doing clips of me, like, doing things like changing my habits, things like that. And that went viral right after my other one. So I started getting I think I got 3 million views on that one. So both videos were going viral at the same time, which were drawing people in because that audio was about intentionally act like the person you want to become. And people want to do that. They want to learn how do I intentionally become that person? So it's kind of segueing out off of that other reel of being addicted to stress and being wait, how do I intentionally become the person I want to become? I want to move out of the stress, out of the anxiety, and be the person that I know I want to be for myself. And I think that's why so many people gravitated towards my page and started following me, because they just felt connected to it. And I always ask myself, if I were to go onto my page, what would I want to see? If I was an outsider, right? Not knowing who I was, what would I want to see? What kind of content would I connect with? And that's the kind of content I put out now. I put out content that really allows people to feel I want to feel connected to my intuition. I want to feel connected to my higher self. And that's kind of the content that I'm knowing people, the kind of avatar or audience that I want to attract. Those are the people that are disconnected, that are feeling anxious. So what's the solution? What do I need to teach them in order for them to feel connected, or to lessen their anxiety, to lessen their stress, to really start feeling better about themselves? And that's why I got the applications coming in, because I'm telling people, hey, I have the solutions. And I've really become an authority on my page to state, okay, I know how to do this. And I give a lot of, in my captions, I try to do the best I can to give as much information and value as possible so people can apply those things to their lives. And if they're needing more support, or they're oh my gosh, wait, I love what she has to say, I want to work with her, then they come and apply to coach with me. And so I really do believe that honestly, yes, obviously I'm very proud of my content. I think my content's great, but I really do believe it's the intention I set. I truly, truly believe if I had not set that intention of I want to reach this many people, which I ended up doing double by the end of the year. I ended up doing not 100K. I did 200K by the end of the year. So it just shows you that when you set an intention, you never know what's going to come of it. It could even be bigger than you expected. But if you set the intention, your actions are going to reflect that intention, because that's how I started acting. I posted content differently by that point, because I knew, okay, what's going to get people to really respond to my page? And again, I didn't know it was going to be that one, but I was just constantly thinking about how can I reach someone so that they don't feel alone, that they feel what they're going through, there's something that can be done about it. And I think that that's probably why people really responded so well to it. And again, not to say that everybody responded well to it. There were some people who there was a lot of negative comments, or a lot of people being well, you're not a psychologist, or you're not a therapist, or, that sounds like ADHD, which absolutely, yes, those are ADHD symptoms as well. But I do believe that from what I've learned about stress is being around stress when you're a child can develop into ADHD later on in life, because of the fact that you're around maybe stressful parents or stressful situations, and you don't know how to handle your emotions or handle your energy because you were dealing with that as a child, and it goes through into adulthood. And I struggled with ADHD too. So, but now I'm I don't feel like ADHD runs my life, because I've done a lot of subconscious programming now, that I believe that anyone can heal their energy and can heal that stress, or that anxiety or the ADHD, to be able to manage it better. Not to say that stress and anxiety is never going to come up again, but it's more so that when it comes up, you're so aware of it and you have the techniques and the tools to be able to release it. And so that's what I've learned through the Yes Supply. And I think that's why people gravitated. So anyone who's listening, if your fear is that people are going to negatively respond to you, just think about the impact instead. Think about the people that you can reach, because the people that are going to love your content are going to be there for you. And then there's other people who are going to say negative things. But again, it's not about you. It's about how they feel about themselves or about their own model of the world or reality. So it's really just continue to post what you believe is what is aligned with you and what is going to help others. And that's going to get you the results that you need.
I love that. There's so much there. Like from what you just said, I could start 10 different conversations. One that's coming to mind is from when you first set that intention. It sounds like you really worked with the law of assumption and the law of expectation, which is step 5 of the Yes Supply method. Going through your whole day with that expectant energy. And I think something that's so important that everyone knows is that there's laws that work in the universe that are always working, whether we know of them or not. So everything's going to be that much better when we know those laws of the universe. And that's why I put the laws of the universe in the embodiment phase of the Yes Supply method, because I'm like, we need to start with this. When you know this, everything that you do from that point is going to be so much easier and so much more in flow. So it sounds like you set the intention, you expected the best case scenario, and then you acted from that best case scenario. And there's a quote that says something along the lines of, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So you didn't wait until you went viral and then said, okay, let me get my stuff together and start making good content. And I think that's what sometimes people think. They think, okay, when I get a lot of followers, then I'm going to start showing up as the coach that I want to be. You already had so much great content ready to reach the right person. And so then when that post went viral, then they could continue to scroll and scroll and scroll. And so that probably helped that other one reach 3 million too, because it's like opportunity. You went viral, but you were prepared. So they were already going through the other content. You already had your coaching application up, and then boom, you saw like all the business success that you're having now too.
Yeah, actually, that's like expectant energy. It's so funny that I didn't bring that up, because that I had never heard that word expectant energy until I went through that module about the 5-step manifestation method, and then also like going through the laws of the universe. But I had not really, like, I heard it, expect the best, but expectant energy. I remember listening to that and being like, wow, that's the energy I need to have. I need to expect these things to happen to me. And when I did that, when I started to apply that, that's when I started to see results. But not only that, like you said, I already knew and I had a strong desire to connect with people in this way. So like you said, I had the content already. I had, the link and everything. And it's never starting. You don't need to have everything together, right? Like you don't need to have all of I think that's what stops a lot of people from starting, is because they believe like, oh, I need to have this, I need to have that. I don't have this. I don't have the website. I don't have all these things, right? And it stops them from creating the content. When content is the thing that's going to, as you continue to create content and take inspired action, you become aligned with that action that you're going to want to take all the other actions at the same time too. Like you start to feel really excited and exhilarated, and you're like, wait, like this flows through me so easily. Now I'm feeling inspired to create a website, or I'm feeling inspired to enhance my brand by like taking photos that I want to take for my brand. There's so many different things, but I think like taking one inspired action will allow you to feel into that experience and then like run with it and just keep doing it. And not to say you have to post every single day, but if you can let your intuition speak through you, you're going to realize that you're going to actually want to post most days. Like you're going to want to post, like when you're so connected to your intuition and having that expectant energy, you're just going to feel into the experience of like post. And I think that's why I'm so inspired by you too, Reese, is like you're constantly posting about how Yes Supply is so transformative. And I'm always seeing like how you're posting about like what your clients are saying, or you're even posting about your talks and like how to become a better coach. And those have really helped me a lot. And I think about like, if you didn't post content like that, I would feel like, oh my gosh, like I need that kind of content in my life in order for me to be a better coach. So I thought about it the same way as myself. It's like, if I don't create this content, people that are needing it are not going to know that they need it. They're going to feel like lost or uninspired. And it's like, it's my job to help them feel inspired. So think about that when you're about to create content. Is like, you're better off creating something than nothing. Right?
Mhm.
It's just much better to be able, and you start feeling more confident as you continue and continue. And again, you can redirect when like something feels like, that doesn't feel like the kind of content I want to put out. I'm feeling more gravitated towards this or this topic or this kind of style or format. Then do that, because
Yeah.
you want to like, don't get stuck in the same, okay, I need to keep doing what everyone else is doing, like voiceovers and things like that. Like, you do not need to do what everybody else is doing. If anything, what sets you apart is when you do something that's totally different from what other people are doing. And I think that
Mhm.
that's probably, a lot of people hadn't seen like that kind of content that I put out for that one reel that went viral. And so because of that, people were like, I don't see that very often. I want
Yeah.
to do that. And I'm really grateful. I was an actress back in the day. So I was like in my early 20s, and I was always so sad that I gave it up. I was like, oh man, like, I left acting because it wasn't for me, but like, I love acting. I wish I could still act, da, 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 da. But now I'm acting in my content. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it worked. Like, I went through all those classes and it wasn't for nothing. Like, everything in life ends up being like, it makes sense after you get through it. You're like, oh, that's why I went through this, or that's
Yeah.
why I did this. It's not for nothing. You learn something through everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can see your acting in that reel when you're like looking at the mirror. That is so amazing. And I love that you touched on energy again, because it's just about letting it flow. Whatever comes through you, let it flow. And then you're going to go through something else in life, let that flow. And so good. So your story is so inspiring to show others a quantum leap. So what would you say about that?
Okay, so about quantum leap, it's funny. I actually have quantum leaped before.
Mhm.
And in that experience, it showed me like, wow, quantum leap is actually possible, but I'd never quantum leaped in a career. And that was like,
Mm.
for me, career and money was there was a lot of blocks for a long time around that.
Mhm.
But in terms of quantum leaping, I really do believe that it has to do with like having that vision for yourself. I had read a lot of Joe Dispenza books, and that was kind of the first introduction to quantum leap for me, because he just talks so much about that, and his meditations are so helpful for that too. But I started having and creating a vision. And I want to give an example of before I quantum leaped in like social media. I quantum leaped in relationships where I was in a really awful, like, I had an awful breakup. I was with the same guy for 5 years. And I was so like, it was again another rut. I think any rut you get into, you're like, what do I need to do? And that's kind of when your soul is called for a redirection. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to redirect my energy to create embody, which is my favorite word now, because it, like, the yes applies, like embodiment.
Yes.
Embody the person that I want to become, and the person that I want to become, who is that person going to attract? Who do I want to attract into my life? Because I wanted to be with somebody who was going to align with me, because my past relationship was a pretty toxic one, and I never had an example of what like real, safe, authentic love was. And I was like, I want to experience that. So I literally scripted and wrote down, okay, like, who is this person? What do I want him to be like? How do I feel around this person? And I meditated on that vision like every day. And I went on a trip to Europe for like 6 weeks, kind of like a healing journey of just like doing what I needed to do to heal myself, to love myself, to enjoy life, to be adventurous. And my friend messaged me. This was literally right before, because I wrote that like list and envisioned it right before I went to Europe. And then my friend, who I'd only met once, messaged me on Instagram, and she was like, I know this is so random. I know we've only met once, but I had a dream that you and my friend Doug were super in love. And I just feel like I have to tell you that. And I was like, that is so crazy. Okay. And I felt this, like when I went on his Instagram, I felt this pull. I was like, wait, like this feels right. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to allow it to just flow. I'm not even going to entertain it. I'm just going to let it flow. And then a couple months later, he started following me on Instagram, and we started talking, and it was like the most like serendipitous thing. And when we met for the first time a week later, we both felt instantly in love. It was like love at first sight. It was like this major change had just happened in my life. And all of a sudden we had been in each other's lives. I have not gone a day without him since. It's been 5 years now. And I really believe that that was like the first quantum leap, was that I was able to make that happen through my act of envisioning what I wanted for myself. Like really having, again, the expectant energy of like, this is what I want. And I know it's possible for me because I'm worthy of it. I'm just so worthy of it. And so when it happened, it showed me, okay, like quantum leaping is totally possible. Like you can go from being in a rut and feeling so alone to all of a sudden having this amazing new relationship or new following or new career, or whatever it is. And it just showed me it's possible. So when I found the Yes Supply, I was like, okay, this is amazing. This is like the step to my quantum leaping. And then I went into social media, like feeling like there's going to be a quantum leap here. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to happen. And then it happened. And again, I really do believe that it comes from having that expectant energy, taking the inspired action, like really just taking it, like just doing it without like overthinking it. Because that's the biggest thing. I was such an overthinker for so long. I'd be like, I don't know. Like I would literally go through a whole post. I would type out the caption. I would have everything filmed, and then I would not press send, or I would not press like post.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot now of like, wow, I can't believe that I felt that way for so long, because it was possible for me to quantum leap, but I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
And that was the difference. That's the difference between like actually experiencing quantum leap and not experiencing it. Because when you experience a quantum leap, it's because you have this inherent belief that it is going to happen. And that is how you quantum leap. And I also think that now I'm really glad I quantum leaped now versus like a year ago, because I was not subconsciously ready for it. I think now I was subconsciously prepared for it, that the universe was like, okay, we're giving you this quantum leap because you're feeling into this experience. You're embodying this version of you. And it makes sense for this to happen now. Because if it had happened a year ago, I was not anywhere near where I am today. I would have been so like unprepared and so not like, I feel like I would have just ended up like not posting at all. Like after a video went viral, I feel like future or past me would have been like, nope, I'm not going to post anymore. This is too much. Not doing it. And I wouldn't have taken inspired action. But now it just fueled me to keep taking more inspired action because of who I've embodied now. So I would say that's what I would have to say about quantum leap. And I'm very curious as to like what your opinion on quantum leaping and like your experience with quantum leaping is.
I totally agree with you. So how I created the 5-step manifestation method is because every time I manifested something like wild or very synchronistic, or like, how did that happen? I reverse engineered what I did. And it was always this process. And you talked about you doing some of the same things. So step 1 is asking yourself, what would I ask for if I knew the answer was going to be yes? It doesn't matter where I was. It doesn't matter how realistic. It's like, what would that be? What's like my true soul intuitive desire? Step 2, so getting clear on that, envisioning that, visualizing that, making it real in my mind. Because once it's like that real picture in my mind, that's how I can impress it in the subconscious mind, which is where the manifestation is going to, connect. Step 2 is identity. So embodying that person, being that person, not just when I do my morning rituals, but all day. Step 3 is the inspired action. So sometimes the inspired action drops in, and that's amazing. Sometimes if we're distracted or busy or stressed, it can't drop in. So that's why we can intentionally give ourselves the space to be like, okay, if it was going to show up, what would I be doing? Right? So if I was going to be an incredible coach, okay, I'm posting or I'm doing live streams or I'm taking a certification or whatever, right? So it's either up leveling our skills or just being it so we can get better at what it is that we want to do and add value. And then step 4 is releasing. So as we start to do all these first 3 things, embodying, posting, whatever, all this stuff is going to come up of like, you could never do that. You're not deserving. You're worthy. What about this thing that happened in the past? So releasing. And then step 5 is living in the expectant energy. So I believe the same thing as you. It's as easy to manifest a penny as it is 10,000. But like you said before, if the thing shows up and we're not ready, we haven't looked within and had that conversation with ourselves and done the subconscious techniques, we're going to push it away anyway.
Yeah.
So might as well do, and this happens a lot. Like someone starts a business or like, I don't know, starts doing art. And then someone's like, oh my God, I want to buy that painting from you. And like, no, I'll give it to you for free. Like we stop ourselves, or yeah, we write an amazing post and then we say, I can't post this. What are other people going to think? Well, some people are going to think it's the best post in the world and 7 million people are going to see it. And some people aren't going to like it, but you're doing it for the 7 million who did like it or what, you know what I mean? So yeah, if we haven't gotten there internally, we won't be able to keep it externally. So I think that just having those inner conversations is the way to go. And that's how it always goes for me. I create the vision, and then like one thing that's coming to mind for me is like my past office. I knew that I loved this certain office on this certain corner. It's like a beautiful house with like all vines on the side. And one day I heard a little person in my head say, it's time for you to look for an office today. And that office had been listed on Kijiji, which is kind of like the Canadian Craigslist, literally 10 minutes before. The landlord had just,
What?
yeah. So we're all, and just, you're saying what to that, but you had a friend with a dream
Yeah.
of you, right? We're all connected, and the illusion is that we're separate. And I think going back to doing the inner work, and then, sending out that radio signal that happens when we do the envisioning, that is proof how we are all connected.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's funny that you talk about the 5-step manifestation method, because that is the first thing I did when I went into the Yes Supply, because that was like one of the first modules. And I really do think that actually helped me quantum leap, because I went through the entire thing. I went through the questions and I literally like wrote everything word for word. I actually have to find it and see if it's on my laptop somewhere. I have to find it and see if it like actually aligns with like what I'm living right now, because I feel like it is, because I think
Probably.
I would have asked exactly what I had set the intention of, like, I'm going to have this many people following me, or like having this many clients. And I truly believe like that helped me to be so specific and to be able to understand and know and have a clear vision. And again, go all the way through into expectant energy. Because even the exoneration of the past self, that the fourth energy, the step 4, that one was like, whoa, I realized I had a lot of beliefs that were not serving me. And I was like, okay, these got to be released. They have to be released today, so I can embody the version and have the expectant energy of like being the person that I know that I envision for myself. Because I think anything that you envision, it's meant for you. It's a desire and it's meant for you. And now I know that. Before, I thought all my desires were just dreams and they were just like hopeless dreams. I shouldn't have these dreams. I shouldn't desire this for myself. It's not going to happen for me. And I absorbed the beliefs of other people around me being like, you can't do that. You can't be an actress. You can't be successful. You can't be this. You can't be that. And I believed it for so long. I believed them. Because, and it's not even them that they were mirrors of how I felt about myself. I was like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And they were reflecting it back to me. You can't do this, you can't do that. And I was like, oh, okay, so I really can't then. But really, it was that I was feeling that for so long. And that was what was showing up in my reality, was like proof that it wasn't going to happen for
Yes.
me.
Yep.
Yeah. And then now
It
my
mirrored.
proof it mirrored. And now the proof is so different because I feel so differently about myself now. And so now, and I believe more for myself, and I desire more for myself. And now the mirror is reflecting back to me this beautiful quantum leap. So I'm very grateful for it.
I
And
love
grateful for
it.
you, because you have
Oh,
literally taught me so much that like I would not have quantum leaped without the Yes Supply method.
oh, thank you for sharing that. This is what I want. Like, it's like when everyone starts to think like this, like, because I'm thinking of it like the future. When everyone starts to think like this, I truly believe everyone will be happier, and I truly believe the world will be a better place, because it's like, you're going through the Yes Supply method. You manifest for yourself. You get to see how quickly things can shift. Then you use everything you learn and you help your clients make those shifts, go through the 5-step manifestation method and manifest things. They're going to manifest for themselves. They're going to manifest. They're going to show their kids how to manifest. They're going to show their communities how to manifest. Everything's going to change, because when we all have someone in our corner that believes that your dreams are possible, then we don't just write dreams and throw it in a journal and it hides in a closet forever. We actually go after it. We believe in ourselves. And when we know that our reality is being created from the inside out, that's going to help all of our relationships, because we're not trying to force change. We're not arguing. We're not judging. We're doing our inner work to make the positive change. So that's how I see this. Like, I'm so excited when my kid, like, I teach little things to my 2.5-year-old, but, and like, we're modeling and everything like that, but I'm so excited to teach it to them and just see how that ripples through every area of their life, to know that, like, shift your vibration and feel positive, and know that the fact that you want something, the fact that you have a yes, it means that you're allowed to have it, and then just see how that shifts everything around them.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to experience, like, as they grow up, like how their belief system is so different from, like, I think, like, from maybe ours and how we experience things, because of the fact that you're raising them to really trust themselves and to like expect more for themselves, that they can achieve anything. And like, that's just such an exciting thing. That's why I'm excited to be a parent, because I'm like, I know so much now, and I can't wait to teach this to my kids in the future. We're not anywhere near that, anywhere near that, but
Yeah, yeah.
I envision it and I dream about it, because I'm like, wow, like I cannot wait for that, because I feel more equipped to be that person to raise kids, because I'm like, wow, I have so much knowledge. And like you said earlier about like, we're literally changing the world as you continue to coach more people, or as you continue to like share your gifts or share your knowledge. We're changing the collective frequency
Yep.
of the world. And like, that's what I'm excited about, because when we were, kids, this kind of conversation, I would never be able to hear a conversation like this. Like,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be anyone talking about like, subconscious mind or manifestation. Like, as a child, this was not something that I ever heard about until I was in my late teens or like early
Mhm.
20s. And so the power that people now have to be able to reprogram their subconscious mind and manifest the life of their dreams, like, there's so many possibilities now, and it's exciting that we're helping change that collective and
Yeah.
changing the world in that way. So I love that you said that, because it's
Yeah.
true. It's so
Yeah.
true.
And because of you, people will be a lot less stressed and anxious while doing it.
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
the goal.
Well, thank you so much for being here and just sharing so open and honestly about your whole journey, your journey with Yes Supply, your journey with sharing on social media, and congratulations on all of your success and all of the ways that you're positively impacting people. So for everyone who's fallen in love with you during the podcast today, how can they continue on a journey with you?
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Passion Base. That's PASSION BASED. You can follow me there, and I have my website linked there, so you can learn more about me there. I will be starting a YouTube soon, so you'll also find me there very soon. But yeah, really excited to meet you guys who are listening. Send me a message and let me know that you've listened to this podcast. I'm very curious.
It's been so fun chatting with you today. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you so much, Reese, for having me. I'm seriously so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.